Let's Talk with Rhonda K., your number one choice in talk. A show created for and because of the people. Stay tuned. Keep watching to find out what Let's Talk is all about. Let's Talk is designed to inspire, motivate, inform, and educate the audience with positive, informational, educational talk that is sure to steer you toward success. More than just news you can use. Check out our website for a list of upcoming show topics ranging from love to life, from career to business, along with a slight twist of entertainment. You won't want to miss it. Do you have show ideas or comments? Perhaps you qualify to be a guest. Visit our website at www.letstalkproductions.com. Let's Talk with Rhonda K. It's the show the Metroplex has been waiting for.
I'm Michael Jenkins, and I highly recommend that you watch the Rhonda K. Show. It's an enlightening, educational, and entertainment experience you'll never forget. And I watch it, and I learn something every time. Be sure and watch.
Let us advertise for you on the Rhonda K. Show. We can air your commercial for a fraction of what you're paying in advertising, saving you money and enhancing your brand.
Live limitless. Let us build you your custom dream home. At Jeff Jenkins Signature Homes, we're making dreams come true, one home at a time.
Work your way from the bottom to the top? Who does that anymore? You'll meet a man who did just that at the age of 14. If you love theater, if you love the arts and entrepreneurship, you won't want to miss seeing our very own hidden treasure of Dallas, Texas, Michael Jenkins of the Dallas Summer Musical. One of the men responsible for helping to improve the business economy of Dallas, all the way to participating in gang mentoring programs, scholarship programs, and technology for the hearing impaired. Michael is one of Dallas's movers and shakers. Let's welcome my friend Michael Jenkins. Welcome back. I'm Rhonda K., and with me is my friend Michael of the Dallas Summer Musicals and the Historical Majestic Theater. If you've just tuned in, you don't want to miss the rest of this. Michael was very instrumental in helping to improve the business economy of Dallas. Basically, with you actually proposed, you talked to us about a proposal that you made that kind of helped improve the Dallas's economy when you first got here. Do you care to talk about that?
Sure. Well, today, the economic impact of the Dallas Summer Musicals is, when it was last studied, which was several years ago, was $104 million a year. Mm-hmm. That comes into the economy in new dollars. These are not dollars that have to build subdivisions or schools, or provide, for fire and ambulance services and road improvements, but this is new dollars that come in.
Okay.
And the Belden survey indicates that they think these dollars turn over 6 times, which would be $624 million.
Wow.
But I don't know that they turn over 6. We believe, a little more conservative, they probably turn over 4. But around $400 million a year is brought of new dollars.
Okay.
And that's a dollar, for example, we have 512 subscribers outside the state of Texas.
Okay.
11 of those are in New Mexico, and 3 of those are doctors who bring their wives. Mm-hmm. That's 6, and they fly every 2 weeks to Dallas. They stay in a hotel.
Wow.
They shop. They go to different restaurants and come see the shows. Every 2 weeks, you can stand on a Saturday matinee. That's the first Saturday matinee, and you'll see them come in about 1:45. You can set your watch
like clockwork.
Like clockwork. So that's what's kind of driven all of this. And Dallas Summer Musicals is set up as a not-for-profit 501c3. And because of that, we produce shows here at the Music Hall, of course, and at the Majestic Theater downtown, and in the near future, the Texas Theater in Oak Cliff. But in addition to that, we had made a proposal to present shows also at the New Winspear Opera House in the Performing Arts Center. The reason for that, we didn't want any of the theaters cannibalizing each other.
Okay.
So we would have shows at the Music Hall, at the Majestic, and at the Opera House.
Okay.
And that would keep all of the city-owned buildings totally operational and functional. But unfortunately, the Dallas Center for Performing Arts wanted to do their own thing and compete against the Dallas Summer Musical.
Wow.
So that didn't work out. But in reality, though, we actually are the only arts group
Okay.
that receives no funding from the city, state, or federal government, and we actually pay the city. We pay all of our utilities. This building, Music Hall, was $366,000 last year in utilities alone, which is $1,000 a day if you think about it for the year. And then we pay the city an additional $100,000 or so minimum. So the city was actually at the Majestic. They were losing $489,000 a year, and now they don't have to pay the utilities, and they're making $100,000. Majestic. So
that was a good deal.
Well, it's a good deal for the citizens because it was a kind of $1 million swing almost, and we were able. I think what's more important is to take the building from 6% usage up to 74% where it is today. So,
exactly.
And we're seeing a great number of people walking to the Majestic. So the whole infrastructure of the Central Business District, infrastructure of people living in lofts, condominiums, apartments downtown, and working and walking to the Majestic is a very positive thing.
Good. Would that have anything to do with the DART rail being placed down here in front of the Fair Park?
It has a lot to do with it.
That's what I thought.
We worked for about 5 years with our friends here at Fair Park and a campus family out here to locate the stations so they would be very accessible to not only the museums but the Music Hall and to the grounds itself.
Okay.
We expect a tremendous positive impact when that happens, similar to the Dallas Zoo, which saw a 27 to 30% increase the minute the DART station opened.
Wow. So obviously mentors are very important. Tom Hughes is mentioned a lot. Obviously he had a lot to do with impacting your life.
Well, he was a good friend. And we both worked for Charles Meeker, the original producer. He had a tremendous impact on my life. So there's Charles Meeker.
Right, Charles Meeker, you and Tom. Okay.
And then there was Angus Wynn, of course, at Six Flags, and Luther Clark, who was the president of Six Flags and in charge of all construction, and I worked for, and he was a one-of-a-kind, fabulous man. And he used to make a very great statement. I said, how do you feel today? And he said, I feel like $1 million with the one rubbed out. I'll never forget that. But then I had another mentor also, and that was Paul Baker at Baylor University in the theater department. And he was the chairman of Baylor Theater, which was quite well known, like the Yale Theater. And I wanted to originally go to University of Southern California and study filmmaking. Had I gone, I would have been in the same class with Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas.
Interesting.
But you never know how your life may or may not have even turned a different way.
That's true.
My father had been killed in a private airplane, and being an only child, my mother didn't want me to go that far away. So then I wanted to go to Yale Drama School, and she reminded me that from a geography point of view, it was the same equal distance,
Wow.
So I went to Baylor in Waco, and I had a wonderful time there. And I've lectured there just recently, and again tomorrow night, on the business of show business. So, show is about being creative and putting on the show, and then it's also about running it as a business. Some people are very creative and do well on the show and don't run the business well.
Exactly.
And then you have a lot of accountants and type of people, and I'm not pointing them out negatively, but other people that try to take care of the business and they lose the creative spirit.
Right.
And we try to walk kind of down the middle of that road.
Okay.
We don't always get it right. Sometimes it's too business, sometimes it's too creative, but we try to stay in the middle of the lane anyway. So I would say that Paul Baker had a huge influence on my life, and Angus Wynn, Luther Clark, of course, and certainly Charles Meeker, and Tom Hughes was a longtime friend also.
Right. Now, one of the things that I found, I had a mentor who was a male that I worked with years ago, and the important thing that I got out of him is he allowed me the freedom to make mistakes, and that gave me confidence that There was always an answer. And so I developed a saying whenever he asked me, he'd always ask me to do something that had never been done. And so I learned to say, let me see what I could come up with. And usually I always came up with something. And so I thought that was important. And that brings me to, what do you think is important in a mentor-mentee relationship?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And kind of before I answer that, I would say that I had another mentor. That was my mother.
Oh, wow.
And my mother instilled in me, if anything, your word is your bond.
Okay.
And integrity and honesty in your dealings.
Okay.
And I don't mean this as a boast in any way, and I hope it's not perceived that way, but Jimmy Niederlander, who is basically the king of Broadway, and we're partners with him in Troika Entertainment and another number of other things, made a comment not too long ago that a handshake with us was better than a 25-page contract.
Okay.
And,
I like that.
And when I heard him make that comment, I reflected immediately back to my dear mother. And she was pretty tough. She would come to all the shows and comment and criticize.
Wow.
And one time I was having ragtime here, and she always came to Thursday matinee, and afterwards I'm taking her home, and she didn't say a word. And it really bothered me because she always had something to say.
Okay.
And so I finally said, well, Mother, how did you like the show? You haven't said anything. She said, it was okay. Well, that made me crazy, you know. So I said, well, what about this show? She said, I love the show, but you've got too many people on the payroll. You've got 48 in this cast, including the understudies. And she said, normally you have 34 maximum, and I think you have too many people on the payroll, you're going to lose your shirt. So I said, well, Mother, with all due respect, you know, I think I know a little more about it. So she said, well, we'll see. And she cut out where she lives, and I came back to the music hall. And I went into the accounting office and said, how many people are on the payroll in the show? Of the cast only. 48.
Wow.
Exactly what she said. And guess what? I lost my shirt on the show.
You had too many people. So that's the business side of show business.
That's the business side of show business. But I think mentors, you learn by mistakes. And I've certainly made my share of them and still make them, I might add. And I think it's important that the sun never sets on a day that you don't learn something new.
Yeah, I believe that.
And so I listen a lot to my mentors. They gave me many opportunities that I didn't deserve, and some I was able to exceed their expectations, and I'm sure many times they were disappointed, but they always gave me the second chance and a chance to fail.
Wow, that's important. So that's the important thing. I would agree with that. If you're not allowed to make mistakes, then you can't have room to grow and learn.
I also found in this business, no matter what you get out of a textbook, there's nothing like on-the-job training.
Need a website? Get a website. Free domain, custom designs. Let's Talk Productions. Move your business to the web. What would you tell people who are interested in getting into the theater? What advice would you have for them?
Well, we work with we have 369 positions here at the Music Hall. We have 1,729 people if you count all the shows on tour. We have 3 shows running in London right now.
Wow.
We have 4 on Broadway and 3 touring. So I would suggest that we have a number of internships for jobs, a few backstage jobs, but because of unionization and insurance, not many backstage. But we have in our box office, in our ushers, our ticket takers, our retail stores, even in the restaurant, if people are interested in that, we do have a number of positions. And I think the main thing is hands-on experience. Now, for those that want to act, we have a DSM school where we train, teach, and help those with that interest. And I would suggest to those that are interested in acting is to go to every audition
Wow.
And
okay.
you'll be turned down by most all of them, but not to give up.
Yeah.
Because the more you audition, the more confidence you will achieve, and it'll make it easier. And I'll give you a brief example.
Okay.
A lady from Jefferson, Texas, named Deborah Yates,
Okay.
went to New York, and she auditioned for 15 shows.
Wow.
And she didn't make it in any of them. She was very discouraged. She packed and was ready to leave to return to Texas. She went to see her girlfriend, as she tells me the story. And her girlfriend was going to an audition. She said, "Come along with me." She said, "I'm not going to audition, but I'll go with you. Afterwards, we'll go have lunch." So she takes all of her bags out of the apartment, checks out, goes with her friend to the audition. And while she's there, the director said, "Would you like to audition?" And she said, "No, I'm really leaving tonight."
Wow.
But he talked her into auditioning. She won the role,
Wow.
and she won the Tony
Isn't that something?
as the girl in the yellow dress in the musical Contact.
Wow.
So when we brought Contact here to Dallas, I arranged for her to, again, be in the lead role for the Dallas audience to see her.
Oh,
So
wow.
my point is not to give up.
That's
Kind
good
of like
advice.
Winston Churchill used to say, never give up and never give in.
Wow.
But
That's
certainly don't give up.
exactly. What stars have been through here? Have you gotten a chance to?
Oh, my goodness. All of them, and some of them are really nice, and some of them are not so nice. But Phyllis Diller, Eartha Kitt, Jodie Benson, who was the voice of the Little Mermaid, Larry Gatlin. Oh, my goodness, just
Tons.
Tony Curtis, many, many, many of them, and more than I can count. Barry Manilow and others. So, and one of the nicest ones, honestly, is Phyllis Diller.
Oh, really? Wow.
And she would perform here, and then go out and have dinner till about 12:30 in the morning. Take her back to her hotel. She'd call up at 4 in the morning, 4:30. Say, "Are there any radio programs you need me to go on to help sell tickets?" I said, "Phyllis, please just go back to sleep. Relax.
Wow.
It's okay." So
She's worried about the business side.
she's wonderful, and Eartha Kitt too.
Wow.
And Eartha Kitt had been on the road with us in Cinderella for 37 straight days. So when she came to Dallas, I said, "I really need to see you." And she said, "Okay," but I knew that she was just kind of looking for a breather for an afternoon or morning off. I took her down to a spa here in Dallas and said, "Give her the works." And she stayed in there all day, and it'd been almost big crocodile tears almost. She's a sweet, sweet lady.
That was special.
The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof.
The Visual Word series takes you to a realm of peace, relaxation, and tranquility. So let the journey begin.
You're working on some projects globally now, currently. Do you want to talk about those?
Well, we have 34 projects at Lark. We have 21 shows in development, and as I mentioned, the 3 shows in London, 4 in Broadway, etc. We're building a project. We've finished a hotel, and we're building a project in Genting Highlands, which is in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We're getting ready to remodel a project in Indonesia. Singapore, we did a great deal of work on Sentosa Island, big, huge tourist zone there. Tokyo, we're working on a medical pavilion about not being sick, but how to take stress out of your life, live longer. And it's
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's an interactive pavilion, and it's going to be quite interesting when it's finished. And then we're working with the Halls on Hall Winery out in Napa Valley, and they're wonderful, wonderful people to work with, in addition to projects in Agua Calientes, Mexico, and in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, resort theme parks in both of those areas, and a water park. And just a number of other projects in Virginia Beach. We're hopeful of starting a project, and of course, in our partnership with my partner in Florida, Randy Drew, we were able to buy 7 of the Six Flags theme parks back.
Yeah, I remember that.
That company has about 8,500 employees, and I'm the chairman of that company, and Randy runs the day-to-day operations, and so we have a lot of things going on.
Oh, yeah, I bet there's never a dull moment.
Well, that's for sure.
Now, how does the Majestic Theater play into all of this?
Well, the Majestic Theater is owned by the city of Dallas, of course, and they operated it, and that's when it was at 6%. So we made a proposal to open the doors and let people come in and activate it, and we pay the city for that, and we're very proud of the Majestic. We've increased the seating there to 1,704 seats. The music hall here is 3,420.
Wow.
And the Majestic is a historical vaudeville house. Everyone from Mae West to W.C. Fields to Eddie Cantor to Bob Hope, they've all been across that stage at one time or another. And that's where we really produce our Broadway contemporary series. We do a number of rehearsals there for upcoming shows, and our school is located there also up on the 3rd floor.
Okay. That's the Dallas Summer Musical School, correct,
Yes.
in the Majestic Theater. Now, the class where you teach the business of show business,
That's at Baylor University.
That's at Baylor, okay. Okay, great. That sounds like it's going to be an interesting class, because a lot of people have the creative side, and you've heard of the term starving artists, and I would imagine that's where that term comes from, is not knowing the business side of show business.
Well, that's true. And I was asked by Dr. Robert Blocker, who is the Dean of Music at Yale University, to come there and do the same kind of a class because for their graduate students who are actually going out on Broadway to work. And it was a 4-hour lecture, and those students really kept me on my feet. They're wonderful, and I'm so appreciative of Yale. Of course, we did Lark did the tercentennial there in 2001 for the 300 years of Yale University. Yale was 1701 to 2001. It was a university 75 years before the U.S. was a country.
Isn't that something?
It was amazing.
Jay, my show director, he has a question now. I have to ask a question for him every time I do a show. So I have a question for you from him, from Jay, my show director. He wanted to ask me about the particular night, if you'll remember, when you were in the Federal Palace in Nigeria.
Yeah, in Lagos.
Right, and you saw something moving in your suit.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, Wendy told us the funny story about that. We got a chuckle out of that.
Well, we were asked by the U.S. State Department to develop the first amusement park in Lagos, Nigeria. And the reason is the general in charge at that time wanted this park, and as we were building it, we were told by the Central Intelligence Agency that he would probably be overthrown in 6 or 8 months, and to have a new plaque ready. And we had to make a plaque and put it in a specific area, which was a very intriguing thing. Well, we've built projects all over the world, 44 countries. 3 we've done for the government was in China and Panama Canal, and in Lagos, Nigeria. And since then, we did a park in Papa and Ikoyi and Kano, Nigeria. But this particular time, I was asked to come to the Federal Palace because the Minister of Tourism had been raised by a missionary.
Okay.
And the missionary had suggested that there was an American game, a ball with a stick. Okay, and we thought it was baseball, softball, hockey, croquet, badminton, you name it. And it turned out to be miniature golf. So in the budget, we had to have a miniature golf, but we could have built anything else. And I was asked to come to the Federal Palace for that reason. It was a late afternoon, early dinner. And as I was sitting there with the Minister of Tourism and other government officials and a man from the U.S. Embassy, I looked, and they brought out a huge bowl of a huge wooden bowl looks like one of those huge salad bowls
Okay.
of
Wow.
a soup that was cold. And as I was talking, I kind of looked in it, and I thought I saw something moving.
Okay. Wow.
And I leaned over on my left to the man at the embassy and said, "Is there something moving?" He said, "Yes, don't worry about it. You need to eat it because they won't eat till you eat."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "I'll tell you later."
Oh,
So
wow.
I talked as long as I could talk on everything I could talk about to delay eating. But everyone was getting hungry, so they passed out these smaller wooden bowls and started to dip this up. And when I realized it was a little live fish.
Okay.
So when I asked about it, they said, well, this is to keep the herbs in this special soup stirred up by these fish swimming around. So I was,
interesting.
as they were passing it around, I was praying to myself that there were no fish coming into my bowl, but I was wrong because two of those little fish wanted out of that big bowl, and they were in my bowl. So then I decided with my big wooden spoon, I would kind of tilt my soup bowl on its edge and maybe stick the fish onto the bowl and just drink the broth. But those fish wanted out of there. They weren't sticking around, so to speak. And I can remember, now that you've mentioned this, I can remember this very moment. Those little fish going down.
Oh, wow.
They were about the size of angelfish, but they sure seemed a lot larger at the time.
Oh, wow.
And finally, the man from the American Embassy, he just kicked me under the table and said, I'd kept delaying, and he said, "Now."
So it was like you were under the gun to eat her.
And once I did it, whatever we suggested, everything was fine. It was kind of a test, I think. But I have some great, great friends in Nigeria to this day. But I suggested when I come back, maybe I'll take them out to dinner.
Yeah. Wow, that is so interesting. But it's been a great having you here on the show. You've shared a wealth of information. You truly have contributed to the history of this city. Little did we know, and it's just amazing at how much you have with all the scholarship programs you do, the mentoring programs that you've been a part of. I learned today that you guys are, is it 34, 37 mentoring programs that you have?
34.
34 mentoring programs. That's an awful
Plus,
lot.
we have the program with the Dallas Police Department for children that get out of gangs. They go to courses, and if they pass, then we bring them to the music hall. They're mentored by the cast and go to the museums. And we're trying to help, give back to the community. We bring 10,000 children in
That's
to the
awesome.
music hall. We brought 7,000 already so far, and we're bringing another 3,000 in to see many of these. It's their very first live theater
Wow.
project they've ever seen.
Wow.
And you know what's shocking a bit is that about 15 to 18% of those children have never been in a movie theater.
Are you serious?
That's hard to believe.
Wow.
And these aren't children from South Dallas. They're from North, South, East, and West Dallas. And it's disappointing that we drive right by every day where there's difficulties and we don't see them. And
Okay,
we're hoping
yeah.
to change lives. We're hoping to build a future audience and to give these children opportunities. It's just like those coins that are flipped into the fountain here at the music hall.
Yeah.
100% of the money goes to scholarships for our ushers.
Right. That's why you say you can work your way from the bottom to the top, because that pool helps fund education for people.
Well,
who
I'm a
come.
perfect example because I
Okay.
started here as an usher at
Yeah.
age 14.
Yeah. Age 14. Were you too young at that time to work? Was that common, or how did
No,
you?
I was too young to work then. You needed to be 15 and a half. But
Okay.
Charlie Meeker put me to work anyway.
Okay. That was great.
It was a great experience.
Well, I've enjoyed you,
Thank you.
as always, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Well, I'm honored to be on the show and to see you, and we look forward to seeing all of you at the music hall this summer.
We sure will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay tuned and keep watching.